antique. What the... Love of... Well, look, what the hell?
It's good everywhere.
I mean, what the hell is going on? Oh, God, man.
Yes, my sinus is acting up.
Oh, Jesus, do you know, I wish there was a war.
Huh? For what?
So we could get rid of you and your like. You see, that's the problem. There hasn't been a war in so long, and that the world is full of useless shite. Normally you, the telesales people, motorcycle couriers and TV3 weathermen would be shipped off somewhere foreign and used as cannon fodder, leaving us decent folk air to breathe. Jesus, you're suffocating me.
All right. Can we get a video in?
No! You can shit and well sit there, stop fidgeting and listen to this. You might learn something.
All right, all right.
In 1945, Hans Schmidt woke up with a jolt. He found himself in a prison cell with a bunch of Allied prisoners. This came as a shock, as Hans was German and they were the enemy.
Huh?
But when he looked at his clothing, he was dressed as an American POW. And when the prisoners approached him, they acted like he was one of them. You took quite a fall there, Hank, said one of the Americans, who explained that Hank, as they called him, hit his head off a goalpost during yesterday's exercises.
What the hell is going on there?
No, Hans didn't know, and when he opened his mouth, he spoke not in his native German, but in perfect English.
Huh?
He hadn't a clue what was going on, but since he was in a cell with the enemy, he thought it best to play along. To them, he was Hank Smith from Idaho. Over the next few days, Hans got to know his cellmates. There was Chris, the farmer from Oklahoma, who had a wife and 2 boys waiting for their daddy to come home. There were the 2 English brothers, Terry and Thomas, who worked in their father's garage and came to fight for freedom. And finally, there was a guy called Patsy, who entertained the troops with his vast knowledge of show tunes.
Benny?
Yeah. And the more time Hans spent with his fellow prisoners, he realised that they were all just ordinary folk caught up in a ridiculous war. And at the end of the day, everyone just wanted to go home and pick up their lives where they'd left off.
I am speaking to you.
When Chris announced that the war had just ended, and that the Allies were only a few miles away, Hans was as pleased as the others. He didn't care who had won the war, just that it was over. He too could now go home to his beautiful wife, Helga.
Helga?
Yeah.
Ooh, was she one of them big busty German women with long blonde pigtails and her nipples winking out over a low-cut smock with a bust so big you could hire them out as bouncy castles?
Huh?
Ooh, and she'd be stern. Lick mine boots, she'd scream as she smacks you around the arse with a Bratwurst sausage. Shouting, schnell, Himmel!
Will you pipe down, you perverted knob goblin?
Stop, you demon. Ooh.
Anyway, Hans, or should I say Hank, and his fellow POWs celebrated in their cell. They were going home. The prison guards escorted them up to the yard with what little belongings they had, and told them to wait. As they did, Chris smiled at Hank and invited him and his family to come visit his Oklahoma farm. Hans nodded. He'd like that. Through the gates, an SS car arrived. Hans felt a shiver down his spine. He had a sense of foreboding. But what he didn't expect was to recognize the SS officer.
Well, who was it?
Himself. SS Commandant Hans Schmidt looked with disdain at the foreign scum prisoners. It it appears you have won the war. How unfortunate for you, gentlemen. Execute them all, he ordered. Hey. Schmidt woke up with a jolt.
Wait. Uh-oh. I see where you're
Yes, Hans was living in his own personal nightmarish hell that was set on replay for all eternity.
Mind you, there is one scenario that I wouldn't mind set on continuous replay for all eternity.
I don't want to know.
Picture this. A king-size bed. There I am in the nip, stark bollock naked, with no clothes on, with a leather-clad Carol Vorderman suspended mid-air on a pulley system directly above me, about to descend for the 14th time on my throbbing valve. Constant in this, baby! I'd scream in ecstasy as Richard Whiteley watches on through a crack in the wardrobe door. Then I'd
Calm down, you feckless skimp, will you?
And then her lesbo sister Carol Smiley enters in a G-string from the jacuzzi saying, "Look at the state of this room. It's made me all horny."
Oh, come on.
Oh, Carol, sandpaper my nipples and
Rodge, will
paint
you
me a
come
bright
back to me,
red
Rodge?
emulsion.
Come
Oh,
back
you
to me,
dirty,
Rodge.
dirty lady.
Oh, no, he's in a sex trance. Come back, Rodge. Hello? Rodge, can you hear me?
Come here, what? Shh. I just wondered... I was...
Yeah.
Bah! Oh. There.
What the hell are those? You're not going to start reading at this point in your life.
No, I'm going to have a wank.
Oh, Jesus.
What?
Dare I ask what the glasses are for?
Well, I did be thinking. You know the way they say, you'll go blind if you play with yourself too often.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I thought if every time I did it, I put on a pair of spectacles, then it would cancel out the blindness.
So basically, you'll be wearing the glasses 24 hours a day.
Oh, ha, ha. You're only jealous you didn't think of it.
Oh, yeah, I'll be so jealous when you're up accepting the Nobel Prize for inventing the wanking glasses theory. You useless lump of festering flesh. Listen to this tale and you might think twice about fecking with your eyes. Tim Fartenbrow was driving home from work one evening when he hit something.
Jeez, it wasn't that TV3 weatherman, was it?
No. It was a dog. But no ordinary dog. It looked like a dog for the blind. Luckily the car had only glanced him, and the dog seemed fine. Tim looked around, but there was no owner in sight. Then the dog started walking. A guilty Tim decided to follow the dog, who seemed to know where he was going.
A model citizen, was he, huh?
Over here, Mr. Magoo.
Huh?
Hey! After a long, winding journey, the dog led Tim to a modest, isolated dwelling on the outskirts of town. The door was open and the dog ran in to be greeted by its owner. "Oh, Tandy, I was so worried," a young woman said to her dog. Tim stepped forward. "I'm so sorry, your dog ran out in front of my car. He seems fine, but I wanted to make sure he got home all right." The young blind woman was very grateful. And very pretty. Yeah. She persuaded Tim to stay for a cup of tea.
A cup of tea and a Swiss roll. Get your cacks off. And you don't mind if my dog joins in, do ya?
Just one more of those and I'll plug you into the mains. The blind woman explained that she didn't like to go out much and used her trusty dog to do errands for her. She asked Tim all kinds of questions, but what most interested her was what he'd seen in his life. He told her about the travelling he'd done.
Lucky enough to have seen many of the world.
The pyramids in Egypt, the Colosseum, the Great Wall of China.
The whorehouse in Bangkok.
Yeah. As he told her of his travels, she began to smile. Tim felt good. This lonely soul was in need of some stimulation.
Oh, stimulation.
Shut it, arsehake! As Tim stood up to leave, he promised the blind woman he'd visit her again.
Wait.
Before you go, let me place my hands upon your face, she asked. As her tender fingers ran over his handsome face, she said, "What beautiful blue eyes you've got."
Wait a minute. How did she know what colour his eyes were?
That was the last thought that crossed Tim's mind, as a cold steel blade sliced keenly through his neck.
For the love of St. Armitage of Shanks, what the feck was going on there?
The not-so-blind girl continued to work with the knife. When she was finished, she walked into a back room. She was almost hysterical with delight. "Maybe these ones will work, my love," she announced insanely as she stuck the newly plucked pair of eyes into the darkened sockets of her long dead lover.
Jesus. Mad as a feckin' mad thing.
Yes, you see, it was merely a year ago that her painter boyfriend, suffering from artist's block, had carved his own eyes out in manic frustration. The girl came home to find her beloved had bled to death. And in the insanity that followed, she trained her dog to fake road accidents and lead unsuspecting donors back to her place for a bit of impromptu surgery.
Hello, Madhouse, hello, calling Madhouse, Mad. Look, were you eating dry roasted peanuts in bed again, were you?
No.
Huh? Well, how did that get in here then?
That's not a dry roasted peanut.
Huh?
That's your Johnston.
Jesus.
Well, you see, with the 50 times zoom magnification that those glasses are giving you, you can now see it for the first time.
Well, my Mickey, huh? It's so textured. Does it get any bigger than this?
Well, are you aroused at the moment or not?
Oh, yeah. Fully aroused.
Oh, right, well then, no. That'll be about the length of it then.
Huh. Come here. One of those little creatures crawling all over it. Hello. Hello there. Oh, Jesus, they're off. Oh, look.
Huh?
Ah, they like you.
Huh?
Look. Oh, look. Yeah, there's loads of them. Podge, what are you doing? Don't harm them. Oh, God. They're all over you.
Hey, hold on. What the... Put
little
me
creatures. That's me brother. Put him down. Don't hurt them. Oh, God. There means like an army of them. Where are you bringing him? Oh, no. Oh, God. Little creatures. Podge, come back. Oh, God. They were the closest thing I've ever had to my own children. And now they've taken my brother. Oh, no. Shite, never mind. Oh, God. Fucking itchy. Look. Now, it's your turn to make dinner tonight. And I fancy a big fry-up.
Fry up me arse.
But you promised.
I promised the back of me sack.
But jeez, would you not like make me a boiled egg and toast or something even?
Boiling me bollocks.
But I gave you €20 and you said you'd make me dinner.
Jesus. Did you fall for that again? If I've told you once, I've told you 1,000 times. I'm a feckin' liar.
Oh, shite. So no dinner for me then?
Tell you what I'll do for you.
What?
I'll tell you a story.
No thanks.
Lance Cocksure was the world's #1 assassin. And he had been for over 10 years. He had killed 49 souls in all corners of the world. From African dictators to kings. From drug barons to mouthy mistresses. He was only one hit away from the Golden Bullet, the most coveted honour in the world of the assassin.
I'd like to be an assassin.
Oh, would you now?
Yeah, a sex assassin. And I could shoot my load all over the lady.
Oh, you are without a doubt the most horrendous excuse for a human being.
Don't hate me 'cause I'm beautiful.
Shut your hole. Now, Lance's peers were few and far between, so the Golden Bullet was surely his. But when he started to hear tales of a young Eastern European hotshot called Antov the Hawk, he began to get concerned. The Hawk, although new to the business, had accomplished in 5 years what had taken Lance 10 years to achieve. And when news filtered through of a hit on the Globoslavian dictator Apopasnuffalopicus, the threat of losing the Golden Bullet had become a definite reality. Lance was going to have to do something about the Hawk.
Oh, did he call 11-8-11, 11-8-11, 11-8-11?
Shut it!
Jesus.
Oh! Remind me to kill you after I've told the tale.
Yeah.
One night in his local, Lance was playing pool. He always cleaned up on the pool table, what with his accuracy and all. Although, lately he had been missing more and more crucial shots due to a slight shaking that had developed in his trigger finger.
Oh, I get a bit of that myself. Ooh.
And when Lance heard through the grapevine that he and the Hawk were now even Steven for the Golden Bullet, after another outrageously successful hit by the Hawk on the Mafia Don Rigatoni Del Mio, he knew that a showdown between the two was inevitable, to ensure that he would achieve his beloved Golden Bullet before this young whippersnapper stole it right from under him. As Lance was finishing off another game of pool, a man approached him. "You don't know me, but I've been enjoying your pool playing for a long time. But forgive me for saying, I have noticed your shaking hand has been letting you down lately." Lance was wary, but when the man handed him a potion, he said would give him one shot of deadly accuracy, Lance couldn't resist. It was astonishing. Lance had a very tricky shot to win the game, practically impossible. But with the use of the potion, it was easy. After the game, Lance tracked the man down at the bar and asked him did he have another potion, as a plan had formed in Lance's mind.
Yep, he's going to use it on that budgie fella.
The Hawk.
Oh yeah, whatever. Is this nearly over as I've got to go and feed Granny's tapeworms?
With the potion packed away with his trusty gun, Lance travelled to Europe in search of his nemesis.
Oh, is that the new Dayu?
My fist, your face.
Yeah.
On a rooftop in Dublin.
Oh, Dublin, ha! Ha! European location. That's fierce handy. It's always feckin' Dublin.
Shut your hairy hole. Lance set his sights on a young man on another rooftop. The Hawk.
Oh, like a peeping Tom. Oh, the things you could see through them telescoping lenses.
Here she goes.
Oh, look, at that lady who's just stepped out of the shower. Huh? Now she's applying some oils. And now, the moisturiser. Hang on, that's not moisturiser. That's sex lube. Oh, wait a minute. She's spotted me spying on her. She's beckoning me over. It's another job for the sex assassin.
Will you pipe down, you scuttering knob, goblin?
Oh, be still, my love.
Lance downed the potion. He had one shot of deadly accuracy, and the golden bullet would be his. But the Hawk was thinking exactly the same thing.
2 vials. Uh-oh.
2 shots rang out. 2 shots of deadly accuracy.
Jesus. Neither of them lived to win the golden bullet, huh?
No, it was won by a man called Sergio Bisconi, a rank outsider known as the Sorcerer, due to his preferred use of potions and poisons.
Jesus, the fella from the bar! Oh, God, huh? Bit of a double cross there, Podge.
Yeah, right.
Oh, Podge, there was something you told me to remind you of.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
No, let me think now.
Look, really, it doesn't matter.
No, I insist on remembering. Oh, yeah, it was to remind you to kill me after your tail.
Right enough. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Bye-bye, Rodge. Bye-bye.
Ow.
Absolutely fascinating. Incredible.
Doused.
It is absolutely fascinating.
Undercover Spunk. The Memoirs of Detective Spunk Murphy, Limerick CID.
Yeah.
Jesus, the greatest detective since Kojak.
Oh, it is a great read indeed. All his best cases revealed. The man who ate himself. The butler's rim mystery. Remember?
Oh, come here. Does it have the case of who shot Marty Whelan's hair?
Oh, yes. But you'll enjoy this one. I hadn't heard it before.
What's that?
Jim Rim lived in the small town of Stool's Float near Thongs Floss, County Meath. Now, Jim was up in Dublin on a bit of business. And like everyone else, when they're up in the big smoke, they buy a bit of porno.
True.
He bought a couple of magazines.
Oh, was it Buxom Bouncy Castle Babes or Anal Aerobics?
Yeah, something like that. But what caught his eye was a video entitled Dirty Couples. It was a brand new title, apparently the biggest seller in Asia and the US. It came highly recommended by the man from House of Wank.
Oh, sure, a recommendation from Tom is high praise indeed.
Yeah. Jim and his wife settled down to watch a bit of porno action. The video was very racy indeed. Oh, lots of couples hard at it. They were about to attempt some of the positions themselves when Jim's wife said, "I I recognise that arse.
Huh?
It was Jim's very own hairy hole.
Uh-oh. Jim had been caught out, huh?
No, as it was Jim's very own wife he was pummeling in their very own bedroom.
But they hadn't been making their own pornos, had they?
No, they had not. And they were further stunned when they saw a number of their neighbours in various lusty positions.
Stunned yet highly aroused.
Jim checked the bedroom for cameras, but found none. Then he searched the house for any signs of forced entry. Again, none. How the hell, and who the hell filmed them in their own house? At his wit's end, Jim called an extraordinary residents' association meeting, where he played the tape in front of a lot of red-faced neighbours.
Red-faced yet highly aroused.
Shut it, you feckless rogue!
Gah.
No one had a clue how they had been filmed, as there were no signs of cameras or break-ins. They unanimously decided to call in the only man for the job.
Detective Spunk Murphy, Limerick CID.
Yep, the very man. After surveying the evidence, Murphy calmly arose and informed the room that he believed he knew who was responsible.
Already? But sure, how could he?
He told the residents to meet him in the local car park. Murphy examined each car individually.
Each car?
Yes, then he simply drove away.
Jesus, he's so feckin' cool. What the hell was he playing at?
Well, that's what Jim Rim and the other residents couldn't figure out. But they knew to leave the legendary detective to do his job. Spunk pulled into Stool's Float Garage, run by Cam Shaft. "Can you do me an oil change?" asked Murphy. Cam said that it'd be no problem at all, and could Murphy come back in half an hour? Murphy lied that he and his wife had just moved to Stool's Float, and since he was new in town, could he suggest a place to get a cup of coffee? Cam sent him over to the Friendly Bun.
Oh, God, you know, they do a great chicken tikka wrap over there, so they do. Oh, it's got all...
Shut your festering gob! Instead, he snuck around the back of the garage and caught Cam in the act.
Jesus, he wasn't dipping his Mickey in the lubes, then inflating his foreskin with the air pump, was he?
No, he was cutting a copy of Spunk's keys. You see, most people don't bat an eyelid about handing over a bunch of keys to their local mechanic for half an hour. And they certainly don't expect him to cut a copy of your house keys, set up some hidden cameras in your boudoir, film you at it, then sneak back the next day, de-rig the gear, then duplicate the video and ship copies off to porno palaces around the world.
The local garage man, huh? Jesus. Spunk Murphy's a feckin' genius.
No, he is that, that's for sure.
Yeah. I'm thinking, maybe I should write my memoirs.
Your memoirs? Ha! So you could sum up your life in 3 lines. Born, menace to society, went to hell.
But I've done many things.
The things you've done in 3 words. Nothing, nothing, and feck all.
That's a bit harsh.
Harsh? Try being me for a day, with you holding me back, dragging me down into your misery. Die, will you? And let me breathe. You're suffocating me.
Maybe I'll write a colouring book instead.
Jesus.
Where's the crayons?
Up me hole.
Where's the paper?
Up me hole.
Where's Jamie Oliver?
Up me hole. Now, my beauty, let's see the results. Awake, my child! Awake! Oh. Right.
Well?
Hold on. Woof woof! Bark bark! No.
Do you not think we should call it a day at this stage? It's just, I mean, we're down 75 monkeys. Now it looks like Pox the cat is dead too.
Did Einstein give up when he invented penicillin, huh? Did Jules Verne give up when he invented snow, huh? No feckin' well, no! When I die, a genius like mine must live beyond the grave.
It sounds to me like you're still keen on this cryogenic freezing lark.
Of course! But let's wait to see if Pox the cat thaws out. Oh, enough time for one of me tales!
Jesus.
Willie Fluffer and Krusty McCracken were wasters of the highest order. Spent their days arsing around the place, sponging off the state with their couldn't bother me whole attitude. More often than not, you could find them in the bookies, squandering their dole money on the GGs.
One day in particular, Willie had a sure bet. Frosty Canyon in the 3:30. But as per usual, they lost their shirts, as the race was won, once again, by the great Red Bum.
Jesus, yeah! Red Bum! Whatever happened to Red Bum, huh?
What the feck do you think I'm doing here?
Right,
If you stop breathing on me, I'll tell you. The two boys had lost an awful lot of money on that horse over the years, and they reckoned they were owed big time. And that's when they came up with the idea.
Yeah. Forget the GGs and spend their money on hooers.
Huh?
Well, they're a sure bet. You're guaranteed a ride, you get to be the jockey, you can come up the rear as often as you like, and you can come across the finishing post anytime you're ready. Photo finish, an extra tenner.
Will you shut your hairy hole, you pimp of Beelzebub? Willie and Krusty were going to kidnap Red Bum.
Oh, come here. Don't you mean horse snap?
Who the hell made you governor of this story, you pedantic bastard? The two boys went down to Philly Rider's stud in Kildare. They camped out and did a bit of spying on the legendary stallion.
Ooh. Did they happen to spy on any stable girls there? With their tight jolpers, knee-high boots and their greasy hair? Come up and join me in the hay, they'd say. I want to put you in stirrups and ride you like a bad boy.
Calm down, you feckless rogue, you'll destroy the sheets. After stealing a horse box, the two boys sneaked in and took the prize-winning nag right from under the noses of the security fellas. It was an audacious theft, and it looked like, for the first time in their lives, Willie and Krusty's luck was changing.
So what did they do next?
Oh, they hid the horse, then made the call. If you want your horse back, it'll cost you €1 million. No cops or the nag gets it.
Oh, then the owner said, let me talk to the horse.
What?
Well, that's what they always say in them kidnap films.
Jesus, will you give me a call when your brain gets warmed up, you plank? The boys were odds-on favourite to clean up, as the owners agreed to meet with €1 million in cash. They loaded the horse into the trailer and began the journey to a lonely road in the arsehole of Kildare.
What?
I just thought you were going to butt in.
Oh, no.
Oh.
I'm quite fond of Kildare.
Oh, apologies. Sorry about that. The boys' journey down
Well, except for Prosperous. It's a shithole.
The journey down...
Not to mention Nace and its inbreeding.
Shut your hairy hole.
And I can't say I'm too fond of Kildare town. What with all them bastards that live there. Nearly as bad as Wicklow town. Feckin' muckers.
For the love of St. Dolores O'Riordan, will you pipe down, you moany old cow? As I was saying, they journeyed down the back roads of Kildare to a designated meeting point. There was the famous breeder, Philly Ryder, with a briefcase full of money.
As Willie and Krusty approached her, Philly noticed something, dropped the briefcase and began screaming.
Was it some kind of clever trapper?
No. She would have handed over the money to get back her beloved horse. But, Red Bum was only a few hands high.
Jesus, the bastards had given the horse a shrinking potion.
Huh?
Like in the film. That film, the incredible shrinking potion.
No! Red Bum was now only half a horse.
Huh?
The weight of the stallion on the bumpy country roads had broken through the rotten floor of the rickety old trailer. Red Bum's legs were slowly ground down to stumps. The only running that horse would be doing would be out of a tube of glue.
Jesus, and what about the boys, huh?
Oh, Philly and her stable hands managed to overpower Willie and Krusty and decided to give them a taste of their own medicine.
Podge, I think the cat's 9 lives are up. Jesus.
Damn it!
You know the way we're spending hundreds of euros to freeze your corpse, so you'll be awoken in the future?
Yeah?
Well, what are you going to do with my corpse? Will I be frozen too?
Depends on the weather when I leave you out with the bins. Now, is there anything else that I can try freezing? Something worthless with no sentimental value. Right, you, into the cryogenic chamber, now!
No!
Right, let the freezing begin. Perhaps he's dead. Well, we can always dream.
How are you, bollocks?
What's that stench?
What stench?
Oh, have you been using that feckin' lard in your hair again?
No, I've been down in the new gay chipper.
Gay chipper?
Yeah, the dripping sausage.
Oh.
They've some great opening specials.
Yeah, I'm sure they have.
They've bum burgers,
Oh.
onion rings,
Oh.
and their special, the 9-inch battered sausage.
Jesus.
Oh, and all the batter's handmade,
Oh,
you know. Oh, I'll be dreaming about it all night.
Dreams, is it?
Huh?
Dreams!
Huh?
I'll tell you about dreams. Esther Flaps was having a nightmare.
Oh, was she having one of them sexy dreams?
No, you stained rag of Satan's juice. In her dream, she found herself in a graveyard. She was standing there in her nightdress.
Ooh. Was it a crotchless teddy with nipple tassels? And did she have a garter belt holding up a pair of dirty ladies' fishnet stockings? The kind the ladies by the back of the slaughterhouse wear?
There's one more interruption, and I'll take the soldering iron to your eyeballs! There was a funeral taking place. Esther was drawn towards the mourners.
Of his great mercy to take unto himself the soul of our dear brother here departed.
She peered into the grave, and in the hole in the ground, a group of a dozen ghostly figures stood peering out at her. And just as the gravedigger was about to shovel in the first spadeful of earth, he growled at her.
There's always room for one more.
Amen.
2 words spring to mind. Shat and knickers.
The very word sent a shiver down Esther's spine, and she awoke in a terror sweat. She wrote the experience off as a silly nightmare, like you do be having from time to time. But when she had the exact same nightmare, night after night after night, she knew she had to do something about it.
Yeah. Do you know what? That's like the dream I do be having about the pixies.
Pixies?
Yeah. Dirty pixies. Oh!
Esther visited Dr. Wet, dream analyst, who told her that the nightmares were simply a manifestation of stress. This seemed to add up as Esther was finding her current job quite stressful. Dr. Wet prescribed her some natural remedies for the short term, but in the long term he suggested Esther try and take the stress out of her life.
Thanks, Doctor.
I know some ways of taking the edge off stress.
Is it any wonder you're covered in those warts? After a good night's sleep, courtesy of extract of echinacea, sleeping stuff, Esther felt on top form and handed in her notice at work. With her new positive mental attitude and nightmare-free sleeps, it was no time at all till she had a new job.
Anne Summers, party organiser.
Here we go.
Big, fat, bored housewives trying on all those lusty gels and appliances that you could bore a hole to Australia with. And panties that crawl so far up your crack they can floss your back teeth.
Jesus, no! She got a job in one of them fancy new skyscrapers up in Dublin.
Where all those Dublin ponces live.
Yeah. It was her first day in her new job and she fitted right in.
I suppose in some ways that horrible nightmare was the best thing that ever happened to her.
Yeah. Esther stood by the lift, looking forward to a nice hot bath and a glass of wine to celebrate her first day. The lift doors opened and she stepped in. It was a bit crammed, but people made room for her.
There's always room for one more,
said the lift operator as the doors closed over. Yeah. Yes, poor Esther and a dozen others plummeted to their deaths, courtesy of a faulty steel cable that snapped under the pressure of an overcrowded lift.
Ding bong! Ground floor, please! At 100 miles an hour! Nah, I'm still hungry.
Yeah?
Oh, I'm going to ring the gate chipper up. They deliver. Do you want that?
No! No, not at all. And you be careful the way you order things from them homo lads. You don't want them getting the wrong idea.
Yeah, shh. It's ringing. Ah! Hello, it's Rodge here from the manor. I'm lying in bed dreaming of your 9-inch sausage with some of your hot sauce. And I was wondering, can you deliver it up the back passage? Oh, great. Oh, well, tell him to mind himself. It's covered in shite. Oh, God, everything's been up there. Dogs, cats, horses. Father Flange says it's the dirtiest back passage he's ever been up. Hello? Hello? Jesus, they've hung up.
Yeah, there's a surprise.
Hello? Hello? Oh, Jesus, these bendy fellas. How are you, bollocks? Well, I've set the date. Yep.
For your lobotomy?
No. Me wedding day.
Wedding day?
Yeah.
Rodge, have you not forgotten something fundamental? Huh?
Don't worry. You can be the best man.
No, you scuttering gobsheen.
Huh?
You need a bride to get married?
No problemo. That's why I've gone to Oriental Introductions and brought myself a mail order transsexual.
Huh?
Here, have a look at her. She's gorgeous.
Yeah, quite deceptive.
Huh?
You do know what transsexual means?
Yeah, they're sexy. And they're transported over here. Oh.
Right, yeah. Well, listen, you'd want to be careful getting wed. Listen to this, fat boy. Randolph Smythe was worth a bloody fortune. And like most young rich folk, found it hard to find a girl who could see past his wealth and go out with him for the person he was.
Do you know what? That fella should have got himself a hooer. You see, they're experts in pleasuring a man. They don't care who you are or how clean your flute is. Once the money's on the bedside locker. Takes the guesswork out of relationships. Huh?
That's fine talk for someone that's getting wed.
Oh.
Now shut your hole, Tony Bennett. One day, Randolph met Morwena Pisspot. She was a pretty young thing. She didn't seem to recognise him as multi-millionaire Randolph Smythe. But once they started dating, he knew that sooner or later he was going to have to mention his fortune. When he did, he was pleasantly surprised that she didn't seem that interested. Within the year, they were wed. Morwena knew all about Randolph's money and all about his family illness.
Family illness? What you talking about, Willis?
There was a 50-50 chance that Randolph would suffer from a rare degenerative disease that could result in him falling into a paralytic state, unable to look after himself. Again, Morwena took it in her stride. She'd stand by her man.
Don't worry.
What a woman. Reminds me of Mama.
You never met Mama. And besides, she told me she despised you. But sadly, married bliss didn't last that long, as their worst fears were realised and Randolph slowly succumbed to the family illness. Morwena was wonderful. She looked after him day and night, shaved him, washed him, wiped his arse.
Oh, sounds like the perfect woman. Oh.
By the day of their first wedding anniversary, Randolph was totally immobilised. As he lay there, Morwena told Randolph how she'd been waiting for this day.
Oh, how romantic, huh?
She told her helpless hubby how she was going to go down to the cellar and that the door was going to accidentally close behind her, locking her in. She would wait there until help arrived, which could be in 3 or 4 days, by which time her beloved husband will have withered away and died.
Jesus, the callous bitch was after the money all along.
You're not wrong, Rodge. 4 days passed in the cellar, and it was kind of tough on Morwena, eating tinned food and having to listen to the groans and gurgling of a dying husband. It was indeed an excellent plan she had plotted.
If only the door hadn't closed behind me, this tragic accident would never have happened.
She rehearsed to herself. Soon she'd be rescued, And she'd be the richest widow around.
Rich, dirty widows. That would wipe your arse for you. Oh. Oh.
Yeah, she heard noises from above. Excellent. She was going to be rescued.
I'm stuck in the cellar!
She screamed. She climbed to the top of the cellar stairs.
Hello?
And who was there to rescue her? A far from dead Randolph. She got such a fright that she lost her footing and fell crashing down the cellar stairs. A couple of days later, Morwenna awoke. Ironically, the roles had been reversed, as she was now in a semi-vegetative stage.
Hello, Morwenna.
The role of carer was now Randolph's. He explained to her how he never contracted the family disease. It was simply a test to prove that she wasn't after his money. But she had failed miserably. The last thing Morwenna heard was the door of the cellar clicking shut behind Randolph.
Touché! Talk about a plan backfiring right up its own hole.
So, Rodge, tell us more about your wedding to this transsexual.
Well, all me friends are invited.
Right, just me and the cat then.
Oh, ha, ha. You're just jealous that I'm marrying a gorgeous transsexual lady. And I'll be getting up the aisle before you.
That's not the only thing that'll be getting up before you.
Huh?
Oh, I'm just saying, you're probably looking forward to the honeymoon night, huh?
Oh, yeah. It'll be a night to remember.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Right, now, let me tell you all about me plans for the big day.
Tell it to the back of me sack. Yeah.
For 9 weeks. Bring your own stockings. Yeah, maybe not. I'm thinking of doing another night class.
And violate your parole.
Well, if someone had told me what animal husbandry really was, I wouldn't have been arrested. You just got the wrong end of the stick.
Jesus, you got the wrong end of the donkey, you filthy pervert.
Her name was Speckles.
I don't want to know. And you do well to stay away from education. You might end up dead.
What are you scuttering on about?
Eloise and Sebastian were two goth students studying theology and Greek mythology up in one of them poncy Dublin colleges. And like all goths, they had an unhealthy obsession with the occult.
Occult? Those feckin' biodifidus yogurts. Huh? It's all just marketing hype.
One feckin' more. They were always getting slagged off by their fellow students, what with the clothes they wore and the music they listened to. So Eloise and Sebastian decided to play a trick on the non-goths.
Ooh. Was it a dirty trick?
No, you scuttering arsehake. Their plan involved a Ouija board.
Uh-oh.
Yes. They invited students back to their room to scare the living shite out of them. Sebastian hid under a cloth-covered table with a laptop computer and a super strong magnet.
Huh?
Ask the board a personal question, Eloise would say, and when the board spelt out some personal details, like date of birth or how many sisters do I have, that Sebastian could access from the college files via his computer, the poor unsuspecting students were sucked in. As her geeky college mates grew more and more disturbed, talking to spirits from the other side, Eloise would ready herself and Sebastian for the grand, terrifying finale.
Ooh, they'd strip off stark student bollock naked and carry out a dirty sexual ritual involving a badminton racket, sachets of cup of soap, and a toasted cheese sandwich maker.
No!
Pumpy, pumpy.
No! Eloise would ask her already freaked out group, would you like to meet the devil?
Jesus, huh?
At this point, the terrified students ran out the feckin' door. Eloise and Sebastian would burst their shites laughing at the gullible fools.
There's one thing I've learnt the hard way, that you should never mess with the queer fella in any way, even in jest, as eventually there'll be hell to pay. Oh,
yes. Are you finished with your lecture, Dr. Benny Bullshit?
All I'm saying
No,
is...
all you're saying is shite. Always has been, always will be. Now, where was I before I was so lamely interrupted? Oh, yes. Eloise and Sebastian continued to scare any unsuspecting studes they could, with the Who Wants to Meet the Devil finale always giving a good scare. And on one night in particular, a single student seemed more resilient than the usual crowd of straights. He didn't budge when asked the all-important question, and he wanted to meet the devil. Eloise remained unfazed. She liked a challenge, and so they called up Satan himself.
Jesus. Oh, it was like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, except with the devil.
Eloise was quite impressed by Sebastian's under-the-table answers. Is there a hell? Yes. Is there a heaven? Not for anyone in this room, it would spell out. The student revelled in quizzing the board, but when he asked it, who will be the first to die? Tim or Eloise? Eloise got a shiver down her spine as the board spelt out Clodagh.
Clodagh? Clodagh? Who the feck is Clodagh?
Clodagh was Eloise's real name that nobody knew about, not even Sebastian. Perhaps he had pulled the name off the laptop. Eloise kicked Sebastian under the table, but the pointer spelt out Clodagh, R.I.P. midnight. Faster and faster! Eloise was in a sweat. She jumped up and pulled back the tablecloth, and there was Sebastian, unconscious. Tim, being a medical student, examined Sebastian. He had been dead for over an hour.
Jesus. Who the feck was working the Ouija? The feckin' queer fella himself.
You might not be wrong, Rodge. As the clock struck midnight, there was a knock on the door of Eloise's room.
Well, who the feck was at the door?
She never found out, as instead of opening the door, Eloise ran a knife through her own heart.
Jesus. What a way to go. Jesus. Still though, I wouldn't mind doing a night course all the same. Jesus. See now, what's
Look, Rodge, I'll try and make this as easy on you as I can.
Huh?
You see, there's some people that are worth educating, and others that are a waste of space, time, and air. Worthless individuals that if we were in Roman times would have been fed to the lions.
Lions. Which type would I be, huh?
By asking that question, you've already answered it.
Yeah. No. Anyway. Oh, right. I'm thinking of calligraphy. It sounds dirty. Oh, what about basket weaving? Ooh, all that cane. Oh. Up Hull Street. Oh, miss, excuse me, miss. I seem to have made a bit of a mess of my scatter cushions.
Here she goes.
What's that? I've been a naughty boy. I have to bend over the fireside armchair for 6 in the bed.
One night of teeth.
Oh,
That's all I'm asking for. One night.
Oh, what's that, miss? You want to stuff me? Where? Oh. You know, I've been thinking.
Jesus, here she goes.
Yeah, Ballydung Manor, it must be worth a fortune. And there's only you and me living here.
Yeah.
But what I don't understand is, how come I'm as broke as a hooer's mattress?
Jesus, do I have to explain all this to you again?
Well, maybe one more time.
Oh, you are entitled to an inheritance of half the worth of the manor and estate
Jesus, huh?
when you're dead.
Yeah, you see, that's the bit that's confusing me now.
Jesus, it's simple. You get your inheritance when you die. Yeah?
Oh, okay.
Anyway, don't be troubling yourself with fiscal matters. Listen to this, Tony Curtis, and learn.
Right.
Lady Urina Roma was the sole descendant of the Bavarian Urina Romas.
Yeah.
She lived in the family mansion that had been handed down through 5 generations. Only 2 staff remained. The husband and wife team of Mr. and Mrs. Musty, who had been working on the estate for 25 years.
You think you'd need more than 2 staff to run a place like that? I mean,
Yeah. But times were hard and the mansion was in disrepair. It would take a small fortune to get her beloved estate back to even resembling its former glory. What was she to do?
Duncan Stewart!
Shut
Now,
your hairy hole. There was only one thing to do. Sell the Urina Roma family jewels. Mr. and Mrs. Musty saw an opportunity. Although they'd been ripping the old dear off bit by bit over the years, that was peanuts compared to the family jewels. It would be wasted restoring this crumbling pile. Instead, they had a plan that would allow them to retire in glorious splendor.
They were going to rip off the old bat, huh?
Yes, they were. The next day, Lady Urina Roma set off in her favourite motor car. Driving was one of her passions. It was packed with €1.5 million worth of jewellery, which she was taking to the city to pawn off.
Jesus, huh? When are they ever going to bring in that feckin' euro?
Rodge, what have you been using in the shops for the last year?
But the credit cards we stole from the tourists that we slaughtered.
Oh, good man. I forgot. Anyway, as the old dear drove off down the driveway, Mr. and Mrs. Musty made their own exit, content with an alibi that would place them back at the mansion. As she came around a bend, Lady Urina Roma noticed something in the middle of the road. It was a person lying face down. Perhaps they were injured.
It wasn't a Martin King TV3 weatherman, was it?
No.
Shite. So who was it then?
Well, she didn't hang around to find out. Instead, she locked the doors of the car and sped off around the body and down the road as fast as she could.
Jesus, now, that's a bit harsh, isn't it? Leaving the scene and all.
No, as she drove straight to the police station and told them about the poor soul in the middle of the road. She went back to show the cops and wasn't too surprised to find that the body was a mannequin.
What? Someone had managed to fold a piece of cloth to look like a body?
Yeah. Not a feckin' napkin, a mannequin! Jesus. A shop dummy!
Jesus, why didn't you say so then?
I did... Oh, Jesus, word of God. Yes, it was a dummy, just like she'd read about in her beloved reality crimes magazines. Yes, she'd recently read an article about how criminals would fake a road accident, and when an unsuspecting Good Samaritan would stop to help, they would be carjacked. The trouble was, to avoid the dummy on the narrow road, Lady Orina Roma had to swerve into the ditch to get by. This wasn't factored in by Mr. and Mrs. Musty, who lay in disguise in the ditch, waiting to jump the old dear and rob the jewels. And they certainly weren't expecting the car to drive over them, leaving the pair to bleed out of every orifice in a roadside grave made for two.
Jesus, that backfired on them.
It certainly did.
Oh, that reminds me, I've got a bootload of dead tourists in the back of the car and 12 new credit cards.
Jesus, a dozen, huh?
No, 12.
Yeah, good man. Listen, fire up the mincing machine. I'm behind on our order for Meals on Wheels. Old people can't live on air, you know.
You're right, sure.
Take the rucksacks off first, will you?
Hi.
Old Mrs. Runyon nearly choked to death on a buckle the other day.
Jesus, what am I like?
I know. Oh, Rodge! If any of them are Scandinavian, crank it up to 10. Yeah, they're hardy buggers. Yeah, wily those Scandos are. Oh, the sound of mincing. Quite therapeutic, really.
Can I turn on the telly?
No, I'm reading a book.
All right. Yeah, beckin' right here.
Jesus Christ. What the...
Oh, great.
What is that caterwauling?
It's I Want to Be Famous.
Jesus.
Shh. Do you know the winner gets to release their own record?
Oh, wow, what a great idea.
Yeah.
As if the music world wasn't shite enough already. Letting desperate, talentless wannabes who should be sitting behind a checkout desk or mopping the floors of porno cinemas release cover versions of songs that we despise the first time around, wasting my ear space.
I'll turn it over so... Oh, it's I'm a Hermaphrodite. Get me out of here. And here.
Jesus, over now.
Oh, great. Erection Island. First to lose the horn gets kicked off.
Just turn that shite off.
Jesus. I don't care what you think. I'm still going to send my tape into Big Bugger and become a porno housemate.
Yeah.
Then I'll get some action for sure.
Take that thought and divide it by nothing. If I know something, it's that you get nothing for free. Take Neil Buttstrong. He was on a one-man mission to Venus. It was all going well, but he got into a spot of trouble in a meteor shower. The ship was in very bad shape. From that moment, Neil knew he was never going to get home.
Is this going anywhere? Only, I was thinking of going and scraping the bath out.
Shut it, you with your disproportionate head! Bah. As Neil sat in the crammed ship, he nearly shat himself when he heard a knock on the capsule door.
Let me guess. Carol Smiley.
No! It was an alien type.
Yeah, Carol Smiley.
Neil had made first contact with extraterrestrial life.
What the? Did 3 balls?
What are you scuttering on about?
Well, you said they had extra testicles.
What age are you? 5? Jesus. I swear to you now, another one of those and I'll carve your eyes out with the leg of a stool and feed them to the cat. It wasn't long till Neil had made second contact and began communicating with the Venusians. They were very hospitable, and despite the language barrier, they seemed to understand each other. One of the Venusians stood out as the leader, but because of their unearthly physique, Neil didn't know whether it was a king or a queen. Neil showed his new friends photographs of home. The Venusians were fascinated by life on Earth. Neil was delighted that they'd got on so well. He could only imagine what it would have been like to have landed on a hostile planet.
Or Limerick.
One morning, the Venusians surprised Neil with a house.
Huh? A house?
He couldn't believe it. It was exactly like the one he had left behind him on Earth. These remarkable aliens were trying to make him feel at home. It almost brought a tear to his eye. But he was a little confused that once inside the door there was only one room. A bedroom. He settled down on the bed, but as he did, he got quite a fright when a fanfare sounded.
What the feck is going on there? A house? A fanfare?
Neil hadn't a clue. As the aliens appeared all around him and held him down on the bed. Finally, through the bedroom door came the leader, holding a magazine high. It was at that moment that Neil realized two things. Perhaps it wasn't such a good idea to sneak that porno magazine on board, and that the leader was indeed a king. In more ways than one. Yes, Neil was the first human to make fourth contact, and was destined to live out his life as the Venusian king's sex gimp.
Oh, now that's got to hurt. Oh! Jeez, what time is it?
Arst if I know.
Oh, it's time for Midget Island.
What?
It's Temptation Island, only smaller.
Turn that shite off.
Huh?
We're watching a video.
Did you get any new ones in, huh?
I did. And how about Tom Crude in Position Impossible?
I can't stand Crude.
All right, let's see what else we got here. What about Gosford Pork?
Nah.
No. All right. How about the Porn Identity?
Nah.
Right.
What else have you got there?
Oh, I know.
What?
I've got the one for you.
What
do you reckon on my big fat Greek lesbian wedding?
Oh, Jesus, stick it in.
Sold to the man on the damp side of the bed. Look at it.
Oh, look at that. Holy God. They're certainly big and fat anyway.
And desperately lesbian.
And lesbian.
Oh, yeah, look at
They're
the...
the Greek, aren't they?
They are. They're...
Shady Mac is
You ever
such a
seen
forest.
so much body hair in all your life?
God, I tell you what, I wouldn't have worn that veil with that trim. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah, anyway. Oh, hello!
Oh, God. What island is that?
Lesbos.
Of course it is.
Where else? Hold on. Here we go.
Whoa!
Hey, hello.
Oh, my goodness, huh?
Oh, God. Get up! Help! Hello! Help me! Someone! Please, save me from this shite. Oh, God, help me! Help!
Get out of this.
Sweet Jesus, help me, somebody!
Jesus,
Please,
what's wrong with him?
misery.
Jesus,
Oh.
what's up?
How shite is telly?
Shite.
There's reality this, reality that, reality on a feckin' boat. You're a star, I'm a star, look at me brown star. Jesus. Whatever happened to the good old Saturday night variety show, huh?
Oh, I remember now. They used to have the jugglers and the magicians and the ventriloquists.
Yeah.
Jesus. What was the name of that ventriloquist act that used to be on?
Patsy O'Waxy and Seamus O'Shingles.
No.
Patsy O'Waxy and Seamus O'Shingles.
That's them, you see? That's them. Oh, Jesus, they were great. What was their catchphrase? Oh, your man would say, I can, and the dummy would shout back, you can't. And if you say, you can't, fast enough, people think you're saying,
yeah, I know. This is Network 2, not Red Hot and Dutch.
Oh, right, yeah. I can't, you can't.
Hey, shut your hole, Jarvis Cocker.
Whatever happened to them, though?
Well, you didn't hear.
No.
Well, let me tell you a tale that would send a shiver up your back passage. At the height of their career, Patsy and Seamus were one of the biggest variety acts on the circuit, making a bloody fortune. But when alternative comedy came along, the arse fell out of variety.
Terrible thing to say, folks, in front of all these lovely people.
Shut up, you fool! What?
How could you say? Look.
And there wasn't a thing that Patsy, Seamus, nor the devil could do about it.
The devil? Jesus, what's the queer fella got to do with this?
Let me ask you this, Rodge. Did you never wonder how the hell they were so good? Did you ever see Patsy's lips move once? Huh?
No.
Well, if you ever looked close at that puppet, there was life in those eyes.
Jesus.
Yep. Patsy, like many other ventriloquists, had struck a 50-50 deal with the devil, who put a black soul in their dummies.
Jesus, so Seamus O'Shingles had a life of his own.
That's right. But that didn't help when the gigs dried up and Patsy hit the bottle.
Oh, come here. Here. Bottle of gear, huh?
They lived in squalor, doing the odd kids' party or drunken student bash. Seamus was disgusted at how his partner had fallen by the wayside. Many nights Seamus sat watching the television, whilst Patsy slept in a pool of his own vomit. He began to notice how puppets were making a comeback on the telly. The time was right to have top billing once again, but Seamus knew he had to get rid of this thorn in his side.
He was going to murder your man, huh?
Well, having some hairy man's arm shoved up your backside every night of the week, you'd want to like them.
Huh? Yeah, well, I've said it before and I'll say it again. It's no job for a grown man!
Right. As his dreams of finding a new partner got stronger, his hatred for Patsy intensified. One night after a particularly embarrassing show, Seamus turned the gas on full and watched the poor drunken bastard die.
Oh, of course, he's a puppet, so he doesn't breathe.
Yeah, well done, Einstein. At last, Seamus was free. He sat wondering what his new partner would be like. When the police discovered Patsy's body, they put Seamus back in his box. Jesus, he hated that box. But he didn't care, as the next time it was opened, he'd get to meet his new partner. When the lid opened, he saw a priest.
Priest? Well, that could work. A novelty act, huh?
Not quite.
Huh?
Seamus found himself at Patsy's funeral.
Oh. Well, that's nice. A fitting tribute, I suppose.
Yeah, that's what Seamus thought. One last look at his old partner for old time's sake. Then stick the old bastard in the ground.
No.
The trouble is, Seamus had overlooked one vital detail of puppeteer tradition.
Huh?
A ventriloquist is never ever parted from his dummy. Not even in death.
Shite.
And sometimes, even to this day, the gravedigger would swear he hears a faint voice squealing, "Let me out of the box."
I can. You can't. Jesus, that's shocking. Anyway, do you know something? I was thinking of getting into puppetry myself. Yeah, puppetry of the penis. Look.
Ah, Jesus, it's been done before. Put that away, will you?
Well, I've come up with a name and all. You see the way I glued the bits on?
Oh.
It looks like a mouse.
Yeah, it's vermin, all right.
Yeah, I was going to call him Mickey Mouse, but apparently there's one already. So, meet Willie Mouse.
Yeah.
Look, I can make him dance.
For God's sake.
Look at that.
That's all very well, but don't let Pox see it.
He's off. I don't know. Come back with my Willie, you bad cat.
That's the closest your cock's ever going to get to a pussy.
Oh, ha, ha. Jesus. Me poor Willie. Where's he taking
you
me,
hear
Willie?
me, Joe?
I heard you.
Oh.
Where's me Willie? Hux.
What use have you got for it anyway?
Hey, Podge.
What?
I'm going to be rich.
Oh, right.
So you won't have to kill me and sell me body to the medical students now.
I don't like letting them students down. I mean, a promise is a promise.
Yeah, I know it, but I got this great letter through the post from Prince Umbalos from Nigeria. Yeah.
Right.
You see, he says he needs my savings to get his millions out of Africa.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, and when he and Princess Clitoro get out, they will reward me with double my money back. And I will be knighted Jungle Prince of Booby Land.
Jeez,
What do you think of that?
You know what? I definitely give them your money.
Do you think so?
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, Rodge, sounds like a great
Yeah.
investment.
That's
and
right.
what with a great title like Jungle Prince of Booby
Land. Yeah, I know. It's good, isn't it, huh?
Has none of my worldly wise ways not rubbed off on you?
What? Well, I did get those cold sores.
Not that. You should know a scam by now when you see one.
A scam?
Jungle Prince Shitehawk of Shitty Shitland.
Well, yeah.
But you reminded me of one of the best scams of all. Finton Fallon was a small-time scam artist. You know the usual. Forged checks, counterfeit insurance and tax discs.
Yeah, bestiality videos like sexy show-jumping stallion humpers.
What?
Nothing.
Keep your comments to your colon.
Yeah.
Anyway, like all small-time scamsters, Finton was always trying to come up with one scam that he could retire on.
You know something, scams? Here's one for you now. I didn't think of it. How about killing yourself and then claiming on the insurance? You see, there you are.
You know what, Rodge?
What's that?
Write that one down and put it in the suggestion box.
Do you know, I will. Where is the suggestion box?
Up your hairy hole! Anyway, as scams go, Finton's retirement scam was as audacious as they come.
Ooh, tell me more, Marion.
Part one of the plan was to buy himself a plane ticket from Ireland's biggest travel agents.
All right, who are they?
Like I said, Ireland's biggest travel agents. With a return ticket from Dublin to Kerry in his pocket, part one of Finton's plan was already in place.
Right.
For part two, Finton arrived in Dublin Airport, checked in, waited for the flight to be called, he went to the gate, handed in his boarding card, and slipped out of the queue unnoticed.
So he never boarded the plane. Never.
He then stole a car and drove like feck towards Kerry.
Kerry, what the hell is going on?
About halfway to Kerry, just outside the town of Boggersreek, Finton abandoned the car and found a suitable field. Then he took a dump.
Well, when you gotta go, you gotta go. That's it.
Then he smeared himself from head to toe in his own feces.
Jesus Christ, what in the name of Ryan Tuberty is going on?
Then he staggered up the road towards the town and walked straight into the local branch of Ireland's biggest travel agents and collapsed on the counter.
Right, what is going on?
Part 3 of the plan was in full effect. He told the hapless manager of the travel company how 1 minute he was 20,000 feet in the air taking a dump, he flushed the toilet whilst sitting, and the next thing he knew, he was sucked into the toilet and shot out into the clouds. He blacked out, then woke up in a field on top of a haystack, about a mile out of town.
So what are you going to do about it? Let's give our solicitor. What are you going to do about it? Just...
That's some scam, huh?
Yep. Despite the utter implausibility of the claim, the airline hadn't a leg to stand on. As technically speaking, Finton was on that plane. His boarding card proved it. And as the airline didn't want any adverse publicity, I mean, people are scared enough of flying already without the extra fear of being sucked through the jacks. So they paid Finton a massive 6-figure out-of-court settlement. And Finton now lives in Costa Chitole after pulling off one of the greatest all-time scams.
Oh, God, that's a scam, all right. You know something, though? You know, I'd love to go on an aeroplane sometime. Jesus, maybe we could go on holidays somewhere.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah!
Yeah, 6 hours on a crammed plane full of wailing brats. With seats so narrow, your knees are wedged under your armpits. Your stomach churning with the smell of stale farts. Food so plastic, it was made by Fisher Price. And when the doors open, you're knocked down with the smell of foreign armpits and dog piss. To spend 2 weeks with you in a matchbox-sized room with backed-up plumbing on the 35th floor of the Hotel La Cucaracha, only 18 miles from the nearest sewage-soaked beach.
I take it you're not keen, so...
I'd rather be gutted with the blunt leg of a stool and fed me own intestines.
I hear Sicily is nice this time of year. Apparently, Sardinia is the new Corsica.
Jesus Christ.
You whore!
There we go now, bit of heat.
Oh, something smells.
Fish or wing?
Do you know, tonight I might have a bit of both.
Fish or wing?
All right, well, I might have a bit of fish.
Fish or wing?
Jesus Christ, every fucking wing, so.
Good man, wing it is.
Do you know, I was thinking of going to the films tonight with Sadie.
Are you still seeing that bitch?
Jesus. I prefer fiancé if you don't mind.
Yeah. Where are you going? I thought Farmer Quillen had the pigs in. What with the weather and all?
No, we're not going to the barn. It's the new 2-screen Cineplex to open up in Tubbaloob.
What's on, huh?
Well, in screen 1, there's Fierce Fast and Fierce Furious all together.
Right.
And then in screen 2, there's Fierce Fast and Fierce Furious all together.
Huh?
Well, you see, you have the choice of which cinema screen you want to see it in. Isn't that a great idea
Oh, yeah, great.
altogether?
Yeah. Well, don't be getting any ideas when you're driving home after seeing that Speedster movie.
What?
Listen and learn, fat boy. Sabrina Swallows was a typical teenager, 17, going on 27.
Teenagers with their Oompa-Loompa music and their cassette Walkmans and their denim jackets.
What
and then
frickin' century are you living in? Huh? Anyway, Sabrina's parents doted on her and always looked out for her without being overly protective.
I bet she got a Beano annual and a selection box from Santa every...
Will you shut your blowhole for 2 seconds, huh? But despite their understanding ways, Sabrina knew that dating the local bad boyo, Tony Sackwax, who was 6 years her senior and as wild as they come, wouldn't be tolerated. Jesus. So she kept him a secret. She would tell her trusting parents that she was sleeping over at a friend's house every time she met up with her rough boy.
She shouldn't be lying to nice parents like that.
Yeah, thanks for that, Tricia. And on tomorrow's show, it's small men with small penises. But lies don't lie for very long. Sabrina's parents soon found out that Sabrina had been having pillow talk, not with her best friend, but with the infamous Tony Sackwax. Sabrina was grounded and her parents warned her she must never see him again.
I was just wondering, is this going anywhere? It's just my piles are acting up.
Saturday night came,
Jesus.
and despite her parents' protests, Sabrina was determined to go and meet her lover. Sabrina pushed her father out of the way and left her mother crying, what with the names she called her.
Oh, Sabrina the teenage bitch. Come here.
Yeah.
Did she call her mother a big-ass toe?
I don't know.
All right. Perhaps a skanky old douchebag.
Jesus. I don't know.
I'd say she called her a crunk-ass biatch.
Are you finished yet, Snoop Dogg? Huh? Anyway, most importantly, Sabrina got to be with her man. Tony had already been drinking all day, celebrating the new car that he bought. He was delighted to see his young girlfriend, and he had some ideas for this evening's entertainment. As she got into the car, Tony put the pedal to the metal. Too fucking fast, too fucking furious, he screamed drunkenly as they sped down the road. Sabrina was terrified, and the more she asked him to slow down, the faster he'd go. Take me home! Take me home! She screamed as she realized that her parents were right. It really was bad news. The next thing Sabrina knew, she was in intensive care. She asked the nurse where Tony was, only to be told that they'd been in a 2-car collision and Tony was dead, along with the occupants of the other car. She asked the nurse to tell the family of the people in the other vehicle that she was sorry, and begged the nurse to get her parents so that she could apologize for all the horrible things she had said and how wrong she had been. But the nurse just stood there as Sabrina drifted into death.
Jesus, why didn't the nurse carry out the young one's dying wish, huh?
Oh, she couldn't, as the couple in the other car were Sabrina's parents.
Her feckin' parents! Jesus, right, look at the time I'm off. Where are the keys?
Up me hole.
Come on, where are the keys?
No, they're lodged up me hole. Yeah, sat down too quickly now. They're lodged up there.
You're lying.
Oh, a liar am I?
Yeah.
Well, I'll prove it to you.
Jesus. That'd be the the central locking on the car.
That's right. And if I squeeze my ring even tighter, I can lock it again. Hold on. Lord of the Ring I am, the control I've got.
Oh, the spare set of keys.
All right.
They're on the dresser somewhere.
Yeah.
Have you seen them at... Oh, Pox.
Yeah, he kind of got them lodged a couple of weeks back as well.
What?
Sorry about that.
Come on.
No, Pox, no, bad cat. Squeeze your buttocks again. Squeeze your... Are you listening to... I can't understand it. I'll try it. Hold on, I'll try it now, Rod. Sort it out. Hold... No.
One night.
No, that's not working.
One night at the films.
I'll try again. Hold on, I'll try stop the alarm.
1 second night at the films.
Oh, God, there's an evacuation now. That's not going to help matters at all. The Pox now. Come on, Pox. Good cat. Yeah, turn the alarm off. Come on, squeeze your he hasn't a clue, the feckin' animal. Hold on, I'll give it one more go. Oh, no, that's very loose. Very loose. Not a good idea.
Hello. Can I buy some of your plums?
What the hell is
Those are tasty plums.
What the hell?
I like your teeth.
What the shite is that?
Huh?
What are you doing?
It's brilliant. It's the latest thing.
Oh.
It takes the hassle out of learning languages.
Oh, right.
You see, you just learn the accent. I'm learning the French accent.
How the feck is that any use whatsoever?
Well, if I go to France and say to a French fella, hello, can I buy some of your plums? He's going to think I'm some feckin' idiot.
Right.
But if I say, hello, I would like to buy some of your plums, he'll know what I'm saying.
Right. How much did you spend on that shite?
Only $199.99 sterling.
Oh.
Plus £45 postage and packaging.
Yeah.
But I also got a free learn Latin accent tape.
Right.
A box of pens. Tested in space.
Oh, in space,
don't
right.
you know?
Yeah.
A box of Praline chocolates.
Oh,
and
right.
a £50 holiday voucher
Yeah.
for any 2-week package taken between the 24th and the 25th of December.
Yeah.
And that's not
will
all.
you shut
If
your
I wa-
hole? And I'll tell you about gifts and the trouble they'll get you in.
Huh?
Ita and Ivor Cock to the outside world were like any normal couple.
I'm a tad disappointed in this.
Ivor Cock had a
Maybe
small
you could double
accountancy
check those
business
spellings.
up in Dublin.
Spellings.
Where the Dublin Ponces live. One day I'll get them bastards back. I'll get
Yeah, calm
the
down, Rod. Calm down. Ita Cock was a dutiful housewife, but more often than not in this modern world, secrets abound.
Like that gay porn you keep in that hole in the mattress.
No, that's a fitness video.
Called Bumboy Bonanza 6.
Shut your hairy hole. As I was saying, Ita was fond of Ivor, but the spark had long gone. And she was a sexual animal that continuously craved excitement.
I'm a sexual animal.
She had many illicit affairs, but took the ultimate care not to arouse any suspicion regarding these liaison dangerettes.
What's that in English?
A dangerous liaison.
Oh, right.
Etta knew how devastating it would be for her straight-laced husband, Ivor, so she was very careful to play well away from home under the guise of her weekend charity work around the country. The perfect cover for sexy rendezvous.
English, please, in that one.
Rendezvous.
Gotcha.
After a particularly strenuous Saturday afternoon sexual encounter with Ita's latest boyfriend, the Black Pudding Baron of Maherfeld,
Oh, Jesus. This is the last time I'm eating one of them.
he presented her with a beautiful fur coat. Oh, God, it was a gorgeous gift. The kind of thing that Ivor could never afford.
But how was she going to explain that to the husband, eh? It's not the kind of thing you'd win in the parish raffle now.
That's true. Yeah, stop breathing on me. It was indeed a dilemma. And on the train journey home, Ita came up with a great plan as to how to keep the coat without arousing Ivor's suspicion.
Tell me more, tell me more.
After she got off the train in Dublin...
Which station?
Does it matter?
Well, was it the one that smells of piss?
They all smell of piss, Rodge.
Jesus, yeah, right enough.
Anyway, she parcelled up the coat and left it in at the luggage counter and headed home with the tickets stuck. All right. Then Ita told Ivor that she had found the ticket on the platform and that she would go and claim it the next day as it might be something worth having. And even better than that, Ivor was over that way with a client the next day. Sure, he'll redeem the ticket and take home their lucky prize.
Jesus, that's some hooring luck, huh? With him picking it up, sure, there's no suspicion in her at all.
That's what she thought. So imagine her surprise that next evening when Ivor walks in with a feckin' umbrella.
Where's the feckin' fur coat?
Great.
The next week, the missing coat was still in her mind. What had happened? Had the luggage crowd made a mistake? Maybe they'd ripped her off. Oh, it was starting to drive her mad. On the Friday, Ita was in town and decided to drop in on her hubby for a surprise lunch. As she entered the office, there on the coat stand was the missing fur coat.
What was it doing there?
That's what Ita wondered, but it wasn't long before it all fell into place. When Ivor asked his secretary to pick up some sandwiches for him and his wife, and she exited donning her brand new fur coat.
But, oh, the husband was banging the secretary, huh?
Ita reckoned that when Ivor claimed the fur coat, he must have thought it was too good to waste on his wife. So he went out and bought an umbrella instead and presented the coat to his mistress, guaranteeing many afternoons of hot office sex.
Oh, jeez.
Now the cheater became the cheated, but she could never say a word.
Jesus, talk about a good plan backfiring straight up its own hole. Come here. Will you test me on me French accent, huh?
Jesus.
Please. Pal, come on.
Jeez, you're giving me a pain in the hole.
All right.
No,
You're
I didn't.
giving me a pain in the hole.
Rodge, you're a feckin' Egypt.
Rodge, you are a fucking idiot.
If you repeat this, you get a smack in the face.
This is hard now. If you repeat this, you will get a smack in the face.
Huh? You like that?
You appear to have broken my leg.
I can't understand you. You're saying it in a French accent.
You've broken me leg.
Yeah, well, I'll break the other one if you don't shut up.
I will break the...
No!
Oh, God.
That'll do. Oh, no!
It's not French. Oh, okay. Oh, God.
Shaggin' sink! Bastard! Get the...
Hey, you know, Podge.
What?
Here's me, right, looking at the property page. And you know the way they're always going on about the price of property, you know.
What?
Here's a house for only €22.
That's the page number, you gobshite. Anyway, you, fat boy. I found these under the sink. What the hell are they?
Me body paints.
What?
Me body paints!
Jesus, look, why don't you just get a deodorant? Painting over it isn't going to get rid of that smell of your rotten crotch.
Oh, ha, ha. I'll have you know that's something me and Sadie like to do in the privacy of our own boudoir.
Oh, I get it now. If you painted her grey all over, she'd look like a hippo.
Oh, ha, I'll have you know that body painting is a legitimate art form.
What would you know about art? With your disproportionate head, your bandy legs, and your stubby fingers, huh? Listen and learn, Pablo Pipisshead! Boris von Schmelt was one of the world's most controversial young artists. 2 years ago, he shocked the Tate Modern with his skinned rabbit exhibition.
Jeez, I remember him. Is that the same fella who blew up the elephant?
The very one. So his latest exhibition of portraits of serial killers almost seemed tame by comparison. But, as per usual, there were no shortage of willing buyers for these latest pieces from the hottest artist around.
Arty-farty ponces, with their feckin' wine and cheese volo vents, with their look at me and me laddie-da, and their I know about paintings and stuff. They vex my hole.
Yeah, you're quite done, Melvin Bragg. The Mandelsons from Monte Carlo bought a painting of Fred Bungie, the Cincinnati slicer. They said it exuded an understated but overwhelming provocative chiaroscuro of good suppressed by evil.
Of course they feckin' said that. Monte Carlo, Monte Ponces.
Within an hour of the exhibition opening, all von Schmelt's 13 works were sold. And within a year, every buyer was dead.
What you talking about, Willis?
Each buyer was found murdered identically to the way that the serial killer depicted in the painting had killed their victims. The Mandelsons of Monte Carlo were found sliced into little pieces and sautéed in a light batter. The Mount Havens of Gloucester were found with live sharks up their arses. And millionaire tycoon Toby Nairobi choked to death on his own shoe.
Jesus. Was it a copycat killer?
That's what the police first thought, as some of the world's most vicious killers have fan clubs.
Oh, Jesus, that reminds me. I must renew my subscription to the Don't Hang Billy Mingus Society.
Who the feck is Billy Mingus?
I told you before. He was the fella who used to bump off the old ladies, steal their dentures, and then he used to play with himself while he licked them clean.
Oh, God, Rodge. And they want to hang him for that.
Yeah, can you
will
believe
you
it?
feckin' clench your cheeks, right? As I don't want to hear another word out of you, you despicable monkey. Oh, good God. Billy Mink. Jesus! Anyway, where was I? Oh, yeah. The police had no suspects and no motives. And it couldn't have been a copycat killer, as often murders occurred on the same night, but in different parts of the world. That's when they called in the only man for the job.
Elton John?
Yeah.
Sure, what use would he be? Sure, he can only play the piano in a gay way.
Will you shut it, you scuttering gobsheen? They called Detective Spunk Murphy.
From Limerick CID.
Yes.
Right.
His first breakthrough
What?
was the dates.
Dates make me fart.
The dates
Huh?
of the individual murders, which he deduced occurred on the anniversary of the execution of each of the murderers depicted in the paintings. Then he went to visit von Schmelt at his studio. After interviewing von Schmelt, Spunk felt that the eccentric artist was holding something back. There was more to these paintings than meets the eye. Spunk's hunch led him on a trip to Monte Carlo, to the Mandelsons' estate, for the anniversary of the mysterious slayings. There hung the picture of the Cincinnati slicer. There stood Spunk himself with Father Fondell, the voodoo priest. After an uneventful evening, they all went to bed.
But at precisely 3:07 a.m., they were awoken from their slumber by a noise from downstairs. They met in front of the painting to find the subject missing.
Missing? What are you fecking on about missing?
Out of the shadows stepped the Cincinnati Slicer himself.
Jesus, but he was dead!
Yes, he was dead! The living dead!
Oh.
Murphy's hunch was correct. With some voodoo words, Father Fondell coaxed the killer back into his painting. And von Schmelt was arrested.
But for what?
The eccentric artist had done a deal with a death row prison guard, who supplied him with the ashes of the dead serial killers, and von Schmelt mixed the ashes with his paints in the hope that his subjects could become living art.
Jeez.
The pictures were part paint, part serial killer, and each year on the anniversary of their execution, the killers were brought to life once more. Under the supervision of Father Fondell, the paintings were burnt, putting the killers to rest once more. Even the supernatural were no match for Detective Spunk Murphy.
Limerick CID. Jesus. Life imitating art.
Yeah.
Imitating life.
Yeah.
Imitating art. Huh? Imitating life. Imitating art.
Yeah, all right.
Imitating life. Imitating art. Imitating life. Imitating... Oh!
Huh?
Oh, Jesus. Jesus, something happened. I can't remember.
Oh, was it this, perhaps?
No!
Do you like that, huh? Huh? Who's your daddy, huh? Oh, huh? Do you feel that one, huh? Electricity, oh! The power of electricity. I give it to you.
Jesus.
All right, die, fish! Die!
How long is that going to be? I'm
Another
starving.
hour, another hour.
Another
shut it.
hour?
Jesus, will you calm
Jesus.
down?
Starving here. Anyway, I was thinking, I'm going to become a vegetarian.
Well, if you want to sleep with other men, that's your choice.
What? I thought vegetarian was someone who doesn't eat meat.
No, that's a lesbian.
Right, I'll be a lesbian, so.
You can't be a lesbian, you're not hairy enough.
Oh.
Anyway, if you want to be a lesbian, you have to eat fish.
Nah, I don't like fish.
Right. Well, count yourself lucky. And listen to this, Norman Masturbates.
Bah.
Back in 1995, a brand new seafood restaurant, A Box of Crabs, opened up in the seaside village of Moneyshot, County Offaly. The proprietors were the newlywed couple, Mossy and Lucy Stools. They were the talk of the culinary world, with rave reviews, all kinds of accolades, and 3 Goodyear stars.
So what kind of food did they serve there?
It's a seafood restaurant. It serves fish and the like.
Oh, right. You know, I always wondered what the seafood in seafood restaurant stood for. Now I know.
Can I continue, or should I wait for your brain to catch up?
Bah.
Anyway, Lucy had always dreamed of having a restaurant. And with Mossy at her side, the world was their oyster. That was until poor Mossy was struck down with an awful hereditary disease.
Oh, Jesus.
His heart and lungs were banjaxed. God, it was an awful blow to the pair of them. And as well as looking after the restaurant, She had to look after Mossy as well.
Restaurant, you're what's working. It's fine.
Jesus Christ. Could he not get a new heart and lungs?
Oh yeah, his name was on a waiting list. But as there were only 2 surgeons in the Western Hemisphere that could perform such a specialist operation, he could be waiting for 12 years.
Jesus, 12 years.
But there was another option, to sell the restaurant and pay privately for the operation.
Oh.
They got a phone call. It was Dr. Helmut Wrinkles, the famous surgeon. He explained to Lucy that he would be arriving in 2 days' time to perform the transplant, as a donor had become available.
Oh, doctor, that is amazing. Thank you so much.
They must have been delighted.
Oh, yeah. The surgeon fella arrived and explained to the couple how the operation would take up to 8 crucial hours.
Well, at least he could look forward to a bowl of ice cream and jelly afterwards.
Yeah. The day before the operation, Lucy invited the eminent surgeon over for a free meal, in appreciation of what he was doing. And sure, the restaurant would only be open for a few more nights. Dr. Wrinkles readily accepted the offer. Lucy laid it all on for the surgeon. Seafood of every description. Crab, lobster, and their speciality, fresh oysters.
All from the captain's table, huh? You know, like...
Right. The next day, the donor organs arrived. Mossy laid cracked open on the table, ready for his new bits. The intense 8 hours lay ahead, but as Dr. Wrinkles started cutting, his stomach started rumbling.
Oh, shite.
Yep, you put your finger on it, Rodge. But that's something he couldn't do, as he felt a squirt of hot gravy shoot through his guts.
Diarrhea, I hate to see ya.
He had to drop everything, and he barely made it to the jacks. It took him 10 minutes before the flow stopped. Then a further 5 minutes to get scrubbed down before getting back to the operation.
Jesus.
Time was ticking away as he made further incisions, but like a pregnant mistress, the brown devil came knocking on his door once again. He tried to hold it in, but his sphincter said no. After 4 more trips to the toilets, he didn't know whether he was coming or going. He was exhausted, and his hole was burning hotter than the Apollo rocket. It was no surprise then that Mossy never made it out of the theatre.
Huh? It was all that feckin' seafood he gorged on.
He realised that he had broken rule number 1 of the surgeon's code, which is similar to that of athletes.
Oh yeah, don't pay for a hooer on your credit card.
No! Eat simply before a big event.
Oh, your man's wife Lucy must have been devastated after all that.
On the contrary, her plan had worked perfectly.
What? Come on, there's something fishy going on here.
You see, Lucy was an ambitious woman. It suited her to marry wealthy Mossy, to finance her dream restaurant. But now that he had become a burden, the surgeon had made it very easy for her to break free from her ball and chain. And without any possible repercussions or suspicions, and the bonus of the proceeds of a negligence case, it wasn't long before Lucy opened Box of Crabs 2.
Jesus, she's some shark, huh?
It's amazing what a couple of not-so-fresh oysters can do. The perfect crime.
Yeah, very good. Oh, yeah, speaking of seafood, Sadie's always asking me if I want to sample her fish pie.
Jesus, I'm going to puke.
Oh, yeah, me too. I said, well, if it smells anything like your crotch, I ain't touching it. Huh. What? Fair enough. Oh, smells like the dinner might be ready.
Yeah, I'm not hungry now. Put me right over.
I was only saying...
Yeah, you crossed the line now, and an image in me head I can't get rid of.
Did I tell you me news, huh? I'm thinking of getting a job at the 24-hour petrol station.
I believe basic hand-eye coordination is required, and an IQ in at least double numbers.
Oh, ha, ha. I'll have you know I'm a member of Mensa.
No, you keep getting that wrong, Rodge.
Huh?
It's Mansack. Masturbation addicts needing special arm care.
Okay.
That's the one you're in.
Forgot.
Anyway, let me tell you a tale of service station slaughter that'll make you think twice, Celine Dion. Mickey Joe Girth arrived in the small town of Brown Skids, looking for a job.
Oh, Brown Skids, now that's close to touch and cloth, am I right?
Yeah, that's the better. Anyway, Mickey Joe got the only job going in town.
Sure, listen, I've been there myself. Rent boy, huh? You gotta pay the bills, girlfriend.
Jesus, no. We got a job in the petrol station, which was run by local businessman Freddie Cox and his lovely wife, Phelia.
Phelia Cox?
She was a fine piece of woman, thought Mickey Joe. So he took the job. You never know what perks there might be.
Have you had any experience at all? I've done some security work.
After a couple of weeks settling in, Mickey Joe took over the night shift. Oh, the night hours were long and lonely, but the thoughts of illicit rendezvous with Phelia in the stockroom kept him going.
Dirty bugger. Checking her oil with his dipstick, huh? You might need a top-up, love. Oh!
yeah, all right. Yeah. Shut it, fat boy. Then one night the strangest thing happened. A man in his pyjamas arrived in the forecourt.
What?
Looking for all intents and purposes like he was driving an imaginary car.
Come on.
Mickey Joe watched in disbelief as the petrol poured out onto the tarmac. He rang Freddie and told him what had happened. Oh, he's back again, is he? Freddie replied. Don't worry, it's only Donny. He's sleepwalking again. Whatever you do, don't wake him. We'll sort it out tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, you see, you can't wake a sleepwalker. The fright, it would kill them.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. David Banner. Anyway, Freddie explained to Mickey Joe that Donny was a chronic sleepwalker. They thought they had him cured, but now he was back as bad as ever. And that the best thing to do was the next night he came by, just play along. Turn off the pump, take the imaginary money off him, and leave him be. Soon Mickey Joe got used to the strange sleepwalker, who did the exact same thing every single night. It was the only other source of entertainment in this dull town, besides banging the boss's wife.
Oh, well, there's always pulling yourself off to the lyrics board, if he was really stuck for something to do.
You are truly beyond redemption, you know that?
Thank you.
It was like any other Wednesday night. Mickey Joe sat behind the counter, and there was Donny sleepwalking again, doing the exact same routine as always. That'll be €30 imaginary money if you don't mind. But this time, Donny drove a very real knife into Mickey Joe's chest. Then he turned and walked out the door.
Wait a minute, the sleepwalker is now a sleep murderer!
Well, he would have been, if it wasn't for the bright lights and camera crew that confronted Freddie on the forecourt.
Feck are you cameras, lights, Freddie?
Freddie thought he had worked out the perfect plan for revenge on Mickey Joe.
He had found out about the affair with his wife and planned to kill the little toe rag and blame it on the sleepwalker Donny. So he had dressed up like Donny and carried out what he believed was the perfect crime.
But what about the real sleepwalker, Donny?
Freddy had that covered. Sure, it's a known fact that sleepwalkers will stick rigidly to the rules of the road. So he set up some temporary traffic lights stuck on red. So he intended to go back, place the murder weapon into a sleeping Donny's hand.
Oh, and of course, your man, he wouldn't remember a thing when he woke up in the morning.
Yep. And all the evidence the cops would have needed to convict him for murder would have been caught on the petrol station's CCTV. And it all would have worked out like a dream, except for the fact that Mickey Joe, wanting to earn a few more shekels, had called the producers of Petrol Station Secrets 3, the hidden camera show, who had set up to film the antics of Donny the Sleepwalker that very night.
Talk about an alibi disappearing right up its own hole.
Jesus, hey. Do you know, that might explain something that's been bugging me.
What's that?
Some nights I wake up, right, in the bed, and you're not there.
Huh?
Yeah, and there you'd be, down here in the kitchen, watching the portable, with your trousers around your ankles, pummeling away to the video, Big Booty Hose 4.
Yeah, I can explain.
No need, Rodge.
Huh?
You must have been sleep wanking.
No, I mean... Oh, that's it, yeah, sleepwanking. Yeah, sure, I wouldn't know what I'd be doing.
No.
No, isn't the subconscious mind a mad yoke altogether,
Oh,
huh?
God, it is. It's an amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing that you can sleep pause the video, sleep rewind the video, sleep slow-mo the video, and sleep put the video back where you hide it.
Yeah.
And sleep get rid of all the dirty tissues you've soiled.
Tissues? No, I use the tea towel like everyone else.
Oh, Jesus.
I mean, I think that's what I'd be using because, I mean, I'd be asleep, wouldn't I?
Yeah, you're a dirty, despicable little man, you know that? Oh. God. Oh. No.
There's
Not another word. I'm done with you. But it's all over, pal.
Oh, come on. God almighty. What the hell is wrong with men? I mean, there's a fella showing you how to hang curtains. Jesus, and there's a fella doing flower arranging. God almighty.
And there's a feckin' Egypt wasting my ear space talking about fellas hanging curtains and flower arranging.
Look, all I'm saying is, I wish it were like the old days, when men were men and women were women, and there was none of these grey areas.
Yeah. The good old days, huh? The good old days. Well, obviously you've never heard of Femme McCool.
Oh, is he showing his current collection in Milan?
No, you scuttering gobsheen. He was Ireland's greatest Celtic warrior, who just happened to be a raging Benny.
An ancient arse bandit? But I didn't think gayness was invented until the 80s.
Well, Boy George gets a lot more credit than he's due.
Oh.
The trouble was, Femme McCool back in his day was the only gay man in Ireland. Oh, it was a time of warriors and mystical shite. And despite his predisposition for other men, he was a fearsome fighter. With his mighty weapon in hand...
Ooh, swords you, sir. Ooh. You know, like the two fellas...
Yes, I get it!
He roamed the Irish countryside, ridding it of all kinds of demons and goblins and other bollocks. He was solely responsible for slaughtering the evil leprechauns of Itchy Hole. He banished the squawking banshee, Atrocious O'Riordan, to the hell dimension known as Limerick. And he conquered Knock Shit Out of You. He used the limpness of his wrist to perfect the most stylish and original sword action that the country had ever seen. But despite the accolades and reputation, he was the loneliest man in Ireland. Oh God, it was the loneliest man in Ireland.
You see, he should have got himself one of them videos. You know, like the ones you've hidden in the hole in your mattress.
Huh? I told you before, they're fitness videos.
What? Up to the elbow 3?
Shut it, you arsehake! Anyway, with no other like-minded males in Ireland, poor Fem McCool resigned himself to a life of loneliness, with only his weapon for company.
Oh, I know how he feels. Oh.
That was until the Sassenach bastards decided to send their finest warrior for a clash of the Titans.
Feckin' Spanish bastards with their frozen pizzas and their sun-tanned arses.
Sassenach is old school for English.
Feckin' English bastards with their cheese strings and their top of the pops records.
Are you done yet, Jarvis Cocker?
Jesus.
Anyway, all the Irish clans got together and nominated Fem McCool as their representative.
It's just like the Eurovision, except with swords and all.
Thank you, Mickey Joe Arse. The prize wasn't some poxy record contract with Louis feckin' Welch. It was for the Emerald Isle itself.
Jesus. High stakes indeed, huh?
Yeah. Fem McCool was fighting for Ireland. He stood on top of Mount Fiji, where Athlone is now.
Oh, right.
And awaited the arrival of his opponent. Then over the hill, he first set his eyes on his nemesis.
Is that the new Hyundai?
His rival, the Pink Knight.
The Pink Knight?
Yep. And instead of his blood boiling before a frenzied fight, Fem fell in love.
Jesus, listen, Spartacus, is this going where I think it's going, huh?
This is your history! Now shut up, you ignorant pup! It was love at first sight for the two bent warriors. But what were they to do? The honour of each other's country was weighing heavily on their shoulders. But the attraction was overwhelming. There was only one thing to do.
A 2-week break in Greece to get it out of their system.
They both raised their swords, and without a word, they rammed them through each other's hearts. Jesus. And the two warriors died in a love embrace, knowing that they would be united for all eternity in the afterlife.
They're now in the big gay disco in the sky.
And Ireland stayed straight until the 1980s.
Right enough. Fem McCool,
yeah. Hey, here, do you want to watch a video?
Huh? A video? Did you get something new in the post?
I did.
What have you got over there?
Well, how about Eat the Parents?
I know. What is it?
Ask Pirates of the Caribbean.
Jesus, not after your story.
I mean, what about Jack Nicholas in About Shit?
About... Jeez, they're not even trying anymore.
Specialist.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. How about a double bill? The Extraordinary Length of Gentleman and Illegally Blonde 2. It's a double bill we could have.
Illegally Blonde 2.
What do you reckon?
Sounds good.
All right.
Sold to the
There we
man
are.
with the permanent stain in his pants.
Jeez, that'd be me.
Oh, hello.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, my. Now that is an extraordinary length of gentleman.
Jeez, we'll have to get a widescreen television one of the days.
Oh, hello. Didn't need to see that.
Get a mop and bucket, somebody.
Oh, my goodness.
Where's that going? My God.